of your Cadillac. You bet your life and you don't want your money back. You check the phone, haven't looked for a while. 27 hang-ups and a reason to smile. Everybody you've ever known wants a piece of the action. The plot turns ugly and the cops will cooperate. Things take a turn down a scary lane. The river's running and the current's insane. Running for the bluff when the chips start to rain. Everybody you've ever known wants a piece of the action. Chasing sweet little ingenues. You spend your nights trying licks out on someone new. You pray for mercy as you look to the sky. The last one to know is the first one to cry. Everybody you've ever known wants a piece of the action.
The scene in Milwaukee is quite alive and well. You know, you don't see a lot of bands come out of Milwaukee, but that said, there are a ton of bands here and a lot of good bands here. And because of that, I think, and because of the fact that there's only so many venues here that really support, you know, big rock and roll shows, you got a lot of bands competing for the same space, and it's a little too competitive here, unlike in some other major cities where there's a little more of a feeling of cooperation within the scene. I think here there tends to be a little more competition.
It's thriving. You have to know what you're looking for. I'm not sure if it's expanding though. You know, I mean, there's the core clubs, and they've been around since we've had our records out, certainly. When I was younger, it used to be that you could go to a club based on their reputation. You know, you'd know you were going to the Buhay Gardens for punk, and it would be of a certain level. They would have, on Friday or Saturday, they'd have a national act, you know, that's coming around with local guys opening, and then during the rest of the week they'd have local people. It's not quite the same these days here. I mean, there are clubs with good reputations, and you can, but I guess you can expect a certain kind of music at certain places.
It's really a diamond in the rough. I think it's one of those things that's been overlooked for a very long period of time. One of the things about Milwaukee's music scene is that it's easy to overlook on a national basis because we're in such proximity to Chicago that people, you know, look at, well, there's so much going on in the #3 market in the country in Chicago, what's going on in Milwaukee? And I think that with bands like Kings Go Forth, and you know, there's so many different other bands that, you know, do great things in this town, and such a rich musical scene here. Everything from, you know, from hip hop and rap to Americana and jazz and blues. There's just a lot of things that people can listen for.
I think the local scene here is great. I haven't been able to dive into it too much until I started college, so it's really amazing to me how many people around here are actually musicians and are actually finding opportunities, especially people my age. I never was able to be a part of it until maybe a couple of years ago. So I'm really excited to see what else they offer and like other venues and who else is playing, who else is popular, and just see where it goes from there.
So the music scene here I think is really vibrant, really thriving, and it continues to do so.
There was a separation of a lot of years before I got back into, you know, the original music scene back here in Milwaukee. When I was in California, I would say probably the height of local music. People were really digging deep to find, you know, the next big band and that sort of thing. So there were lots of places to play. They were all pretty pro. I mean, good sound systems, serious sound people, and a pretty thriving music scene. Now again, that's Berkeley, San Francisco, so that's a bigger area than Milwaukee. But it's there, you know, if you're looking for a certain type of music or just a you know, decent band, you know, on the weekends, shouldn't be too hard to find. Shouldn't be too hard to find.
Milwaukee can stand up there with any other city in the country. You know, when you think about bands that come out of, you know, small towns all over the country, why wouldn't, you know, as many, you know, creative and artistic and intelligent people as there are in this town, of course eventually they're going to create some amazing things, and a lot of it's luck. A lot of it is how it clicks with what's, you know, considered to be, you know, what people are looking for. So, you know, it's like catching lightning in a bottle to a certain degree. At some point somebody will hit, and they'll hit really big, and people will say, oh, I remember back when they just played the little clubs, and, you know, I got to see them at a killer street festival in Milwaukee. But Milwaukee has that level of talent that it really can, you know, produce something that's, you know, on a national stage.
And so there's, I mean, it's a lively music scene, a lot of great players. And hopefully it sounds like, you know, some more attention nationally is starting to be, you know, paid to some of these smaller Midwest towns like Milwaukee and various other places. Even in Wisconsin, La Crosse has a great music scene too. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. I absolutely get nervous before I perform every time, but it gets better every time. And you know, it's like the second you start playing, like the first note you sing or the first note you play, after that, for me personally, I'm fine. And it's really hard to find time to play shows because that's something that takes a lot more preparation than just saying, hey, let's get together and jam or something.
Pretty much. I mean, these days, no one's really interested in managing a band that isn't a cover band because, to be quite honest, we start out, every show we go to, we start out minus 100 or minus 200 or minus something for the sound crew and equipment when we go to these places that we play. So, you know, we got the sales at the doors to make some of that money back, hopefully all of it, and maybe have some left over.
Taking a CD in, meeting club owners, sitting down, having a beer with people, and really letting them get to know you a little bit, because, you know, they get stacks of CDs. If they've got no face to attach it to or no personality to attach it to, you know, you'll still get shows probably, but I've always found that getting in there and actually meeting people and doing the networking has always been the best way to go about it.
But in order, since you don't have a manager though, or an agent, it's pretty much who knows who. You get out, you go to the clubs, you get to know who the owner, who's the booking agent there. get friendly with the bartenders, that sort of thing. And then we've found that these places, we're pretty professional about how we go about it. We're not any trouble for the sound guy. We cooperate on levels and things like that. And, you know, I like to think our music is pretty good. So once we get into a place, we're pretty much, you know, you don't want to be there too often. They don't want you too often. So we just kind of make a call if it's been a few months or whatever and set something up.
So most of the things that I do show-wise are just open mic nights. Like sometimes a couple times a month we'll have open mic nights in my dorm, or they have open mic nights at some of the local venues like the Miramar Theater, which I haven't gotten my hands on yet, but I'm hoping to be able to do that soon. And but honestly, it doesn't take that much to actually have people hear you and have people recognize you. Like I've just played maybe 2 or 3 open mic nights at my dorm ever, and I have people coming up to me left and right, and they're like, "Oh, I saw you play," and so that's really cool to know that. Yeah, shows are really important, but at the same time, you don't need to be playing them every single night or every single weekend in order to get your name out. So it's a slower process because of school, but at the same time, it's still really effective whenever you can get on stage.
You know, it's really up to the bands. The clubs are fairly passive. They'll put an ad in there, but I haven't ever really seen a club owner get excited over a band and say, "Hey, I want to help you guys out," or anything like that. So, you know, these days you got to be doing all the social network deals, and it's really up to the members of the band, really, to promote everything and get heard.
These days, there is no cut and dried strategy. It's not like it used to be. Promotion is a whole different animal nowadays with the internet and the way, you know, even record companies aren't putting money behind their artists anymore like they used to. You really have to get creative. You have to start thinking about different things you can do with the different formats that you have out there. There's a ton of stuff available, a ton of options out there. You just need to figure out how to best use them. And then playing live, getting out there and playing shows for people and winning people over. Everybody can do it now, and everybody wants to do it, obviously. So you really got to find a way to try to make yourself unique and try to be as creative as you can to get out there in the most, you know, visible way that you can possibly do.
Instead of stop, come back, I should have said thank God for you. Baby, you're another shining star on the flag. But I took my ring and fed it to the sea, and I cursed your holy name, forever leaving me. Now every night at 10 I pay you a visit and stand above your bones that feed the dying earth. I place a rose delicately by your epitaph that reads, "Sweetie, you don't owe me a thing. Will strike me down if you would let me off that easy. Because I gave up on you long before you left this world. I stopped searching the horizon for your ship to come back. It's only grace that makes you let me off so easy. What's that worth?" I've harbored so much pain, your body's gone, but the little one has no doubt that we'll be with you again. But I don't think I've done enough to deserve that. I'm trying to hold on to her kind of faith. One night on my knees I swore I heard your voice, but I took your words and buried them beneath my pride. You said I've heard your cries and you're forgiven. I guess I ought to just shut up and believe. Strike me down if you would let me off that easy. Because I gave up on you long before you left this world. I stopped searching the horizon for your ship to come back. It's only grace that makes you let me off so easy. It's only grace that makes you let me me off so easy. Nothing but grace that makes you let me off so easy. And I'm grateful.
Right now I'm majoring in creative writing, and I think it goes hand in hand with music. I was originally going to major in music, but the program at our school is something that I wasn't prepared for. So creative writing is something that I've always loved, and I've always been really, with music, I've been really lyrically focused, so I think that was a good decision for me. It's absolutely challenging being a full-time student and having a part-time job. To be able to focus on music, especially, you know, it gets frustrating because it's all I want to do. But you know, you make time for it because it's what you want to do. Like a lot of times though, like with the writing process, you know, if I have a project or something going on where I actually have a deadline, then I'm able to sit down and set aside time to actually write. But most of the time, ideas will just come to me at miscellaneous times or sometimes at 3 in the morning, and I'll just get ideas out that way.
Lately it's been solo artists in need of bands. I've tend to been doing a little more in the way of production for people, just because I have kind of a stable of musicians that I'm always working with, so people tend to come to me looking for someone that can flesh out their ideas, you know, things that they have going. But I do full bands on occasion too.
Well, honestly, I've wanted to record in a studio for many years, like at least 4 or 5 years, and I would always go to my parents, and I knew that they would know people since they're both musicians, and I was like, can you get me in a studio? Can you hook me up with somebody? And they'd be like, well, Lauren, you can't, we don't know what your music sounds like, so we can't just get you out in a studio until we know what you sound like. And it took me at least 2 years to get up the nerve to play for anyone else, and the first people that I played my music for, my own songs for, besides myself, were my parents. And that was really important to hear what they had to say about it and to actually have their approval, because their opinions are very professional.
Obviously practice. Pre-production is probably the most important thing you can do before getting into the studio. I write in the studio, but I have a studio, so it makes it, you know, I can cheat that way. Most bands don't have that, and if you're trying to write while you're in the studio, it ends up costing you a lot of money. The best thing you can do is everybody knows what they're doing, everybody's got it down pat, you come in and you just get ready to go.
So then from there, my dad, just a couple days after I played for my parents, my dad actually called up a man named Jim Griffith, and he actually used to record my parents when I was really little, and I think before I was born even, but he said that he just talked about me, and he was like, oh yeah, she's got some songs and she wants to get started, and you know, what can you do for her? And so he tried to get me in his studio, and he's like, you know, honestly, the people that would be better to work for you would be my nephew. My nephew has a band, and so he actually sent just a quick recording he did of me to his nephew and their band, and they actually really liked it.
I was referred to Lauren through my uncle, who's also an engineer in town, who's a little less comfortable with the more rock stuff. He's kind of classical and jazz and things, so he sends me some of this, you know, the rock and roll and the newer stuff, more modern stuff.
I thought it was really cool because they're in more of like a metal band. They're called Thin the Herd, and so I thought it was really interesting that they would be interested at all in recording my music, which is more like on the poppier pop rock side. And but from there, we've just, every time we get in the studio, we get a lot done.
You know, I heard her play. I heard just kind of a quick demo that they had put together of a song or two, and I liked her ideas quite a bit. So, and I'm not I don't do this really to make money. You know, I have a full-time job, and then I've got the band and everything. So generally, I just work with people I get along with and who have some sort of vision that I'd like to contribute to.
And shouldn't you know who you're charming?
We just finished recording guitar and vocals for a song named Hex that she's done. It's I've heard it before, but now that it's starting to take shape, I'm really liking it, and I'm looking forward to playing some bass and getting the drums in there and seeing it take shape.
It's just really cool that I have so many people behind me just because of my parents' history and everything. So it's really exciting, and it's a slow process because, you know, they're busy too. They have jobs, and I have a job, and I have school.
You know, she's new to this. She's just starting out, but she gets better every time she comes in. And the ideas are there, and that's the most important thing to me. Is she knows how to write, and a lot of people don't. And the rest you can learn as you go.
The songs that I write tend to be based on what I'm feeling at the moment or what I'm experiencing at the moment, and some of them are very, very personal, and it can be quite obvious who or what the song is about, but at the same time, I try and make it applicable to other people. For only you at the end?
You know, having it it's pretty much a must-have these days to have some sort of a demo out there, material that people can get their hands on, so that they're walking around, they're working out with their iPods, they can be listening to something and really connecting with what you do. And that's going to get them out to the shows, that's going to sell them merchandise, that's going to, you know, it's going to kind of complete the circle that way.
Be honest with me and yourself. Did you only keep me for the skin? 'Cause I look to you as the best part.
Well, from here we just we move forward. You know, we'll keep tracking guitars and vocals, getting the song shapes down, getting structure down. You know, I imagine she's got a backlog of stuff. It's been a while since we've been working together, so she's, I'm sure, amassed quite a few songs that she's ready to go with. So it should move much faster from this point on. I think she's, after having a taste with the first song, she kind of sees how the process works now a little better, and I think she can tailor her writing to that process a little better. So hopefully we just keep moving forward as we were, and I think it's getting better with every song, so I'm enjoying it.
Driving back from a party last summer, my best friend called me out. She said the whole ride home your song was in my head. Flattered as I was, it only made me think of the way your song was in mine. 300 miles away, did you really want me or was I a distraction? Either way you made me feel exquisite, but I hope I forget. 300 miles away, I won't squander time again, waiting here for only you. I should have asked, what kind of a game is this? Until you realize you're playing. What kind of a waste is this? And shouldn't you know who you're charming? Be honest with me and yourself. Did you only keep me for the skin? 'Cause I look to you as the best part of my day. And I'll be honest with you, you were an addiction that I'm thrilled to lose. 300 miles away, you're doing exactly what you said you wouldn't. If I'm right, then I hope she forgives you. No, don't you forget. 300 miles away, I wish that you'd stay there, so I can learn to love again the way I should. I should have screamed. Do you realize you're playing? What kind of a waste is this? And shouldn't you know who you're charming? What kind of a game is this? Until you realize you're playing. What kind of a waste is this? And shouldn't you know who you're charming? Shouldn't you know who you're charming?